Back on the Powershot V1 today. Auto white balance, auto ND filter, auto exposure. The ISO is just going from the native 800, the base ISO of 800 to 6400 because there's no way to bracket it, which that's my first complaint about the Powershot V1 is that I wish you could bracket the auto ISO to be like from 800 to like 1600 or 3200 and not 6400, but it's what we have. So if you're shooting at night or indoors like I am, you probably should just set the ISO manually and just keep it at either the native 800 and work on the lighting, or if you can't, adjust the lighting, make sure it doesn't go up too high because 6400 does get kind of noisy. It's cleaner than most point and shoot cameras because of the micro four thirds sensor, but not that clean. Just know that. You're gonna have a little bit of noise at ISO 6400. And it occurred to me in the last video that I did that I was kind of whipping the camera around and moving too much, like when I watched it back. So I think when you film yourself, especially with the Powershot V1, you need to be a little more aware of the fact that it's not like a Pocket 4 or Insta360 Luna that has like a built-in gimbal. So you just have to be more careful and not make your viewers have motion sickness. And like I mentioned, I'm on auto exposure right now, shooting in C-Log 3 with the auto ND filter also, which is a nice feature because I just went from indoor to outdoor, and it tends to do a pretty good job. Like, obviously the ISO drops down to 800 when you come on here because that's the base ISO for C-Log 3, and it flips on the ND filter so that you don't have to have such a closed down aperture. Like, I'm keeping it at 1/50 because I'm in shutter priority to maintain like proper motion blur. So the ND filter helps to kind of maintain a little bit of a shallow depth of field. You could shoot in aperture priority, which keeps the aperture wide open, but allows the camera to adjust the shutter speed. But then you end up with like a shutter speed of like 1/500, 1/1000, and then you get very jittery footage. So I like to shoot in shutter priority, keeping the 180-degree shutter rule for proper motion blur, and sacrifice like the shallower depth of field. Like, I'm okay with deep focus, like you can kind of see everything that's in focus back there because the aperture closes down a little bit to maintain exposure. Like I said, I just wanted to come back out here and show that the stabilization is okay as long as you walk a little more carefully. As someone mentioned in a previous video, it was a shaky mess, which I agree with, and I apologize for the shaky mess. Want to see our dragon fruit? Hasn't had any fruit yet, but we're working on it. Also, this is a holiday avocado, which the reason it's called a holiday avocado is that it bears fruit like in the wintertime, unlike a regular avocado that's summertime. And it actually grows more like a bush, not like a tree. I've been comparing my Pocket 3 to the Powershot V1, not just image quality, but like user experience. And I find a lot of times with the gimbal-based cameras or the gimbal-style cameras, in addition to having such a small screen, they don't always point where you want them to point, and so you're having to kind of like manually like use the joystick to point it. Whereas like a brick-shaped camera, like Powershot V1, like if I want to point at this rosemary here, I can just go like this, and I'm pointing it where I want it to point, and then I just bring it back to myself. More, a traditional way of flipping from filming yourself to filming something that you might want to show. Also, like if you're filming like this and you want to show something here, it's a lot easier to just like, oh look, there's the AC back there making all that noise. It's just a quicker transition from one shot to the next. So I feel like the way I have the Powershot V1 set up is the most ideal way to shoot with this camera. It's a lot of auto settings. Like I said, it's on auto exposure, auto ISO, auto ND, even the audio is on auto. I just turned off the wind noise cancellation because I feel like it compresses the audio a little too much. But that's something that I've had to get used to, you know, switching from doing like professional video work where everything is like manual to, you know, just doing casual shooting and vlog style videos with a camera like this. Is like letting go. Sorry, it's a plane flying by. Like I was saying, transitioning from having everything manual and making sure all your settings are just the way you want it to kind of letting go and letting the camera do its thing. And I find that, especially with the Powershot V1 and a lot of newer like point and shoot cameras or like, you know, fun cameras, I'll say, the auto settings are the way to go because it just gets out of the way and allows you to capture moments and not miss things because you're fiddling with like external filters or fiddling with audio settings or exposure settings, which just dawned on me that my exposure was I must have bumped one of the buttons in the back because it had the exposure at minus 1/3, so I'm back at 0. So I find that exposing at 0 plus or minus 0 is the way to expose C-Log 3. And then in Final Cut Pro, I grade it to my taste. You want to see our aquaponics system? I don't have a polarizer, but there are fish in there. And right now I'm in the process of transitioning what we're growing here. So we have some basil that's not doing too good, and spinach that is doing very good. I'm also experimenting with a cutting from the dragon fruit to see if I can grow dragon fruit in an aquaponics system. And as you can see, I have a new shoot, so it's working. Anyway, that's all. So 2 takeaways from this video. Be careful how you walk with it because it's not the greatest stabilization. And the second thing is, don't be afraid of auto settings. Let these modern cameras do their thing. Auto settings are great. Like, I find that nobody cares if you're like, oh, he shoots everything in manual, so he must be a really good videographer. Nobody cares. I'm okay with auto settings.